Hey Flosstube, this is Stasha, and it's supposed to be July 3rd, but it's actually July 6th. So I'm a little late on getting my Flosstube recorded, but you know, it's okay. I'm here. I'm announcing the giveaway. That's what matters, right? Everybody wants to know who won the giveaway. So just a reminder, what we were giving away is from Flosstube 2A. We transferred the coloring book page onto fabric, so it's ready to be embroidered. Here's the coloring book page. And the ceiling fan is running well, so you can, things are just kind of blowing. But I need the ceiling fan because it's 11 o'clock at night and 90 degrees. So at least it's not Arizona. So anyway, the winner of the giveaway is Sulster74M, and I think I remember that nickname from the Teresa Welter bulletin board. So if you're still on YouTube, not YouTube, if you're still on Yuku, message me that way. Or I'm pretty sure we're probably friends on Facebook, but just get me a message with your address and I will get that over to you. So what else happened in the last 2 weeks? So what worked? I finished my overdyed dragon. This was a Dragon Dreams design. It's a class project that Jennifer Aikman-Smith taught, and it was a beginner blackwork class. The original pattern called for reds. I did mine in purple. Pattern's just a place to start. That, you know, you're perfectly fine to change it. So did that. I also finished my Starstruck Mystery Quilt. Started that in 2009. I was making two versions. I was doing the traditional fabrics that the designer called for, and then I also made one in batik. And I finished the batik back in 2010. So, yeah, 6 years ago. Finally got around to finishing the traditional quilt. It was really interesting because I got to where I was going to put the border on, and I had planned on blue borders, and that's why I had done a background in blue on the star block. And my son took one look at it and said, "Mom, blue doesn't work. It's a Christmas quilt. Just look at the colors. You've got red, you've got green, you've got gold. It's a Christmas quilt. Put a green border on it." So I put a green border on it, and I will insert a picture of it here because I did get some pictures. And I actually need to remember to pause. Okay, picture goes here. So I finished the quilt, and I don't have it to show you because I've already dropped it off at the Machine Quilters. And yes, I like the piecing part, don't like the quilting part so much. Okay, sometimes I like the quilting part, but that's only when I have time to do it. And this one was a little one, so I might as well pay somebody else to do the quilting. Besides that, they have a gamel and some really cool patterns. I'm having a holly leaf pattern put on it. And it's not that expensive. It's less than framing. I mean, it's only $75 to have it quilted, and I'll still need to bind it, but that's easy. So what else happened? You know, this is the second retrospective now, and I realized that I'm committing to having free time. So part of a sprint is you commit to get things done. Part of that planning is having an idea of exactly how much time you have available, what your resources are. Are there holidays? Are people going to be able to work? Are people out on vacation? Well, it hit me halfway through that I was committing to having a certain amount of free time. I can't guarantee that I have free time. It just doesn't work. I don't know from 1 week to the next if I have free time or not. So I've decided to switch things. I'm not running sprints anymore. I'm still practicing Agile, but I'm going off of a Kanban board and prioritizing things that way. So I finished 2 projects, which allows me to a new start. But I don't think I'm ready to really have a new start yet. Well, I've got so many things screaming at me that, you know, I'll let you guys help me decide. I'll have a link to the blog in the comments down below. The poll will be open for 1 week. I'd love to keep it open longer, but unfortunately Poll Daddy only lets me keep it open for 1 week on WordPress. But some people ask, so how do you do a rotation? Especially after Mania, where they have so many things going, how do you start a rotation? So the way I do my rotations, I've done multiple rotations. You know, you just need to find something that works for you. There's no right or wrong way to do a rotation. What works for you is what matters. So first off, the first step is to organize your works in progress. Organize your WIPs. WIP, W-I-P, is work in progress. I have some WISPs, work in slow progress. So the first step you do is you organize. Get a piece of paper or an Excel spreadsheet. It works better for me in Excel just because I'm a data geek. And you write down the project, write down the designer. Excuse me, there's the itch. Write down the project, write down the designer, and write down what you need to do. When I first ran across this idea in just cross stitch in the 90s, and that one of the things they really recommended was writing down what is the next step on that project. I discovered most of my projects stopped when I got to the back stitching. That's when I learned I have to back stitch as I go, or else it's not going to get finished. Some pieces may be in the naughty pile because you need to frog. Some pieces, maybe you're missing a floss or a fiber or something, and you need that. Just write down what's the next step. Why are you not working on that piece right now? A lot of times it's a new stitch. Maybe it's a specialty stitch that you haven't learned yet, and you need to get a doodle cloth and practice it before you do it on the real piece. You know what? Just make the list. Don't stop, don't think, just make the list. Then once you have the list, organize it by what the next steps are. You may also want to organize it by project size. Some people like to have a rotation of a small, a medium, and a large piece. Some people like to do all their smalls first and then work on the mediums and the larges. Some people like to do a timed. Some people like to do a screaming. Okay, so a screaming rotation is you look at your WIPs in the morning, and whatever is yelling the loudest at you is the one that gets worked on. You know, it's that squeaky wheel gets the grease sort of thing. Whatever WIP is yelling the loudest, that's the one that gets the needle put in that day. So that's a screaming rotation. You just work on the piece until it stops screaming at you, and then you pick up the next one that's screaming at you. One of the other things I've done in the past, let me move my notes a second here. One of the other things I've done is I've had like a weekly rotation where I worked on a different piece each day. That worked when I wasn't working. when I was a stay-at-home mom with little kids, that worked. I could work on a different piece each day. And then as things got busier, I'd work on a piece for a week. And then when things got really busy, I'd work on it for a month, so that I'd have 12 projects for the year and one each month. And that's the way I'd rotate. Sometimes though, when I do the yearly rotation, if I finish something early in the month, I could have a new start of the same project size. Just the way I work, whatever works for you. The whole project is this, the whole point is this is your hobby. If you're getting anxiety about not having finished items, then figure out something that's going to work to help you finish them. Back when I made the original list, backstitching was my big issue. So everything got stuck when I hit backstitching. That's when I realized I need to backstitch as I go. I can't save the backstitching till the end. So what I would do to try and get rid of all those pieces that needed backstitching is I would find some stitches that I really wanted to work on, or I'd take my screaming project, and once I had put in 2 strands of backstitch, I could work on the screaming project. And that worked for me. I got a lot of stuff finished that year because all it needed was the backstitching. So it was just a matter of finishing things, and you know, it worked out real easy. So timed rotation. I have done a timed rotation. That's where you stitch with a stopwatch. Yes, I know it sounds a little weird, but hey, I'm a data nerd. So I'd stitch with a stopwatch. I would turn the stopwatch on when I'd start to stitch, stop it when I tied off the thread, And once I had put in 10 hours on a piece and recorded the 10 hours on my spreadsheet so I could tell you exactly how long it took me to do my projects, then once I'd worked on 10 hours, it was time to rotate and pick up a new piece. The trouble is sometimes you get to the end of 10 hours and you're just like, oh, I'm so close, I just want to finish. Go ahead and finish. The other thing I used to do was a focus with a timed rotation with focus. So every piece in the rotation had a 10-hour slot, except for there was also a focus piece. So it got the first 10-hour slot, and then you switch to something else, and when you finish the 10 hours on that second piece, you worked on the first piece for 5 hours, and then picked up the third piece for 10 hours. And then so you worked 5 hours in between every 10-hour slot on your focus piece. And that worked really well for getting things finished, except for completion anxiety would kick in. We'll talk about completion anxiety in another video. It is an actual physical DSM diagnosis. It hits artists more than any other classification. It's where you just can't finish the piece. There's no end. It never ends. You can't let it go. But, we'll talk about that later. So right now what I'm working on is a goal-oriented rotation. So I've taken all my pieces, I've broken out into stories, because we're doing Agile, I've broken out into stories each little piece. So I'm working on the stories, and each goal, as I accomplish each goal, it's time to rotate and go on to the next story, which may be on the same piece or it may be on another piece. So far, I've had 2 on the same piece. Well, I've had a couple stories on the same pieces, and I've got 2 finishes. And with 2 finishes, I get a new start. But before I ask you to help me pick my new starts, we're going to talk about the plans for July 4th through July 17th. For stitching, I'm working on Memories of Tide Pools by Row Pace. It is a needlepoint canvas piece, kind of like this one here. This is not Memories of Tide Pools. This is Ivy by Janet Perry. Not the Janet Perry in California, the Janet Perry in Utah. This Utah Janet Perry goes by Evergreen Designs. So anyway, I'm working on Memories of Tide Pools, which is a counted canvas piece. And then to replace the quilt that I just finished, I'm taking a T-shirt quilt class, and I'm going to be in Dallas next week when the class officially is, so they gave me a private lesson so I could get started. And here's the first block for my T-shirt quilt. So I got to play with fusible, anyway, it's fusible stuff that stabilizes the shirt so that it doesn't pull anymore. It becomes a fabric block. And that's for my daughter's Bowling for Rhinos shirt from Hogle Zoo. My daughter worked for the zoo for several years until the economic downturn, and then she is now a vet tech, and she's lead vet tech at an exotic animal hospital, which is fun. She's enjoying doing what she's doing. So I've got the T-shirt quilt class, working on tide pools, and then I mentioned I'm going to Dallas, where hopefully I'll see Terry. Terry's going to be picking me up from the airport, so looking forward to that. I will be taking Fruit Bell Pull to Dallas, unless I start something else. Or I may take Something Wicked to Dallas. Haven't decided yet. So either Fruit Bell Pull or Something Wicked is going to Dallas. And then, still have not found a solution to my scroll frame issue. My husband says he's got some ideas on building a frame for me. It's not PVC, he's looking at wood. And so I'm looking to see what he does there. So, haven't done much on the Mardi Gras quilt. Totally skipped the ABC sale on the 26th. Again, it's been a year since I started Anniversary Roses by Lauren Sauer. I really have got to finish that first page. But it's 36 count over 1, and my eyes don't do that anymore. So I did find some really great magnifiers, though, just at the dollar store. I got the strongest pair of the magnifying reading glasses, and they actually work really well on fabric. So anyway, on the ChandraTasha.com blog, I have a poll for what should be my next piece. So, starting with 3 carousels, because 3 kids, I work in 3s so they don't have to fight when I die. The first one is Firewing Designs The Wild Hunt. So it's not officially a carousel, but it's kind of a carousel. So there's The Wild Hunt, and this is the fabric. This is Carousel Linen Thunderstorm by Picture This Plus. Yeah, it's pretty sure it's Picture This Plus. Next one is Patricia Allison's Dragon Carousel. Isn't that cool? I'm not sure if I'll do the border or not because the other 2 carousels don't have borders. And this is also going to be on the Thunderstorm. And I'm looking at both of those thinking, you know what? Until I solve the scroll frame problem, those may be a little hard to work on. And then the third carousel is the Teresa Wentzler carousel. And this, the pinks, when I did the floss toss, yes, Adele, floss toss, just didn't work on the Thunderstorm, so I'm doing it on the lighter fabric. This is also a Picture This Plus because I got it at the same time I got the Thunderstorm, but for the life of me I don't remember what it is. So yeah, I took the labels off. But that's for Carousel. And then this is the one that I'm really leaning towards. This is Counted Illuminations, The Goblin Market. It's an excerpt of the Christina Rossetti poem. And this is the fabric. Let me see if I took the label off of this one too. Yeah, I did. This one, I know it's a Picture This Plus, but that's Goblin Market. It's kind of a purple yellow sort of thing. And the thing is, with Picture This Plus, I was in the shop one day when they were dyeing, and I took a bunch of the remnants, so I don't know if that's one of the real colors or if it's one of the remnants. So the next one up for voting is Nora Corbett's Tiger Lily. I was really lucky and was able to trade Touching the Autumn Sky for Tiger Lily because they're both out of print. And then this is the fabric I've got for Tiger Lily. It's a Dinky Dyes. It's kind of a peach, but I thought the orange would just really pop, orange and green would pop on it. Then we have New Year's Fairy, Mary Billy's New Year's Fairy, which came as a kit, but like I've ever used kit fabric. And I'm trying to decide between Kiwi Illusions, Kiwi Illusions Cloudburst, or Silk Weaver's Snowstorm. They're both kind of a bluish gray, and I just thought New Year's Fairy would look good on them. Okay, then we've got Toil and Trouble by Lottie Dodd. This is the 3rd piece in the series that Something Wicked belongs to. So I've already finished The Raven, working on Something Wicked, so this is the 3rd one. And this is being changed. The Witch's Nose, my son, the son that gets Toil and Trouble, he's like, you know, Mom, we've got bubbles there. Why don't you just make a cauldron? So the witch's face is getting turned into a cauldron, and the nose is going to go away. And then this is the fabric. No clue. I think, pretty sure that's Picture This Plus. It's kind of orange and brown, looks kind of like a tabby cat. Then, of course, I've got my Risti Pisto kit from Finland. This would be a fun start and then go with my Christmas things. So anyway, the fabric I chose for that is a Silk Weaver's Expressions, and it is Winter Breeze. I just thought that would kind of look like the path. It looks kind of like the path on the picture. So I'll turn it so that the white space is kind of the path for the pattern. Next up is a piece I've had for a while, Glendon Place's Sleepy Hollow. The Sleepy Hollow piece from Glendon Place. And I, again, picture this plus haunted for that one. And that one's going to be, that one I'd have to fit on and try and figure out how to do the scroll bars. Next we have Sue Hillis's Dysfunctional. This piece I will probably end up stitching 3 times, one for each kid, different colors each time. And I may actually stitch this one a 4th time to give to my parents, although I don't think they'd find it as funny as my kids do, but that's another story. And then I just have a piece of Zweigart linen for that, just a blue, not even a hand dyed. So those are my starts. The poll will be, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera there. So the poll will be up until let's see, I put it up on the 4th of July, so it'll probably July 11th. July 10th or July 11th is when the poll will close. Again, wish I could make it longer. Not going to happen because Poll Daddy has a limit on it. So go to chandratasha.wordpress.com and vote for which piece you think I should start on next. And until then, until next time, you know, have fun with your patterns. It's just a place to start. You don't have to do them exact. Enjoy and have fun with your hobby.